All right.
Turn this off.
Okay.
And we're live.
Awesome. So I'm so excited that you were available today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling you that I was listening to your Instagram from last night or yesterday, and you were talking about when you feel like you want to give up and you feel like you want to quit. And sometimes people think that, you know, people who have it together never have those feelings. But you know what? Even Gary Douglas, founder of Access, he'll have those moments of like, what am I doing? I might as well just quit.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have a deeper discussion with you about that for all the people who have those moments.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like, you know, first of all, I want to tell people I'm honored to be a CF for Access Consciousness. I'm really honored. It's a huge honor, and it makes my life a lot easier. But sometimes I think people look at people who are CFs and they say, oh my God, you're magical. You have this. I'm like, man, dude, if you're in my head at 3 a.m. in the morning sometimes, you're like, who the fuck is this dude? And I say that because I have moments, multiple moments, where, you know, if it's sometimes just watching some of the things that you show or going, I have some people that I go to energetically that always inspire me. I've been giving you one of those things, and I'm not just like blowing smoke up your ass, but check this out. Once in a while, I have to have tangible things around me to remind me that life is worth more magic.
Absolutely agreed.
And it's the smallest things or the smallest events. Like, start with jewelry. I had a ring from you and it jumped off my finger. Remember I told you, and I lost it. And so it went into space and somebody desired it, I guess, on the airplane. But then there was a necklace that you made me. And it's one of those things that when I look at it hanging with my other jewelry in my bathroom, it reminds me, it has a glimmer to it. So it gives me a hope, a shiny hope. And those are those times where you want to give up. You're like, okay, if I could just get this energy, and it's not making something else significant. It's just because I am embodied, there are other things that I can have around me. But the bottom line, and of course, people say, well, what about the tools of access? Yeah, but I'm still having this body experience. It's not, and I'm not judging it as a wrongness anymore.
Right,
and
right.
There's days that I wake up that it was like, I hit Dane up a couple days. So I said, you know, I really just want to fucking go fishing. I haven't gone fishing in 10
Maybe you
years.
should go fishing. And
We're planning that trip
it too. Like, okay, there's something that I wanted to make sure that I get out because this is really key. But those moments where we feel like everything's so difficult and so heavy and things aren't moving, and you have this awareness of something that you've really wanted to create, but it's not showing up in the way you want or in the time frame that you want, and you're like ready to give up. Those are the moments, first of all, to use the heavy and light tool. If it's heavy, it's a lie. So whatever we're telling ourselves, it's not going to happen, or it's not working, or I'm not enough, or I'm not creating, that's a lie, number one. And recognizing that lightens the whole thing up. And then number two, sometimes you have to reset. It's like, you know, when you have to turn your computer off and then turn it back on again. So there were times, even when I was a kid, I remember in high school, trying to write a paper and trying, it didn't work. And I'd go, I give up. And then as soon as I did that, all this awareness came in. So it's like, whatever direction we're going at it with that's not working, you can let that go and then go back into question and get inspired another way. And sometimes it takes going fishing.
Yes. And also, yeah. And so so there are certain things I realized that I heard people in Access say, well, you know, to live a life where you don't have a vacation, you don't require a vacation. I want both. I want to live the life of there's no vacation, but also I would like the whole concept of vacating. I like the concept of, and for me, it's called retreating. You know, how many people in the past retreat, not that they're giving up on this time, but they're like, I need like the reset. But I also want to speak to something that you said that I was sharing with a group of people once. I was teaching a class recently, a Being You class, and the light and heavy tool. I want to say this to people because sometimes my light and heavy tool is broke. And so I find other tools that get to the light and heaviness.
Yeah.
Because even if it's something like if this phone is actually a contribution in links, I ask, so if it's not working at that 10 seconds, don't give up on tools. Try another tool that might enhance this other tool, because as you expand and being more of you, you're going to find out that that might not always be the go-to, but that's when you don't give up. You just ask a question, universe, is there another way of perceiving this? And
yeah.
I say that not just, I'm not slamming a tool, and I'm saying, even when you get to the point, like when you teach foundation, you tell people when they go, well, I can't get this. And so they start feeling small and all. No, what tools do you know that get you to the same point of question?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that for the whole purpose of like, I'm the type of person that I get like, I go back to your jury. I love the goal that you put around there, because when the sun hits it from the sunroof, the sun, not sunroof, but we have I forget, like a top of our bathroom. It's like a glass part of the ceiling. And when the light hits, it glimmers. So I'm like a fish. I'm walking all the way, and all of a sudden I see that glimmer. I'm like, oh, And so I use that. What are the glimmers to bring you back to reset, which allows you to get beyond the point of where I give up is not a bad thing, as long as you actually keep stepping through it, like you said. And that's where when I recorded that, I was just like, I'm sitting here at the county on my break. So people know I am on my break doing this, but I'm in the county building right now. And I have 31 years and 8 months of working here.
Wow.
And I wanted to be retired, but also as I'm retiring, there's been a rush of young people that I've been connecting with, that I will admit this now, that I'm changing their lives because I'm here. And when Tori first got sick and I decided I chose to stay here to support for certain things, for insurance and stuff purposes, at first I was like, I'm gonna have my moments. And yesterday, this weekend was I was like, man, I just want to go fishing. But I realized that I'm still a contribution, that the universe knew something more than what I know. And when are we, and also when you want to give up, that you're not asking questions from the universe, like, what is this? Can you just give me some insight about this? Because it's passing. It's like having bad gas after you have a horrible meal. That too shall pass. So and when I did that recording, I was just, I want people to see that, not that I'm like, as a facilitator and as somebody like, just as a magician, I'll call myself, I have my moments where I have to really expand. And I do have those moments where I don't know my potency, or I can't see my potency because I haven't asked questions about who am I being at the time. And it's okay. Now, that's my whole reason of recording that this weekend. It's okay. Like the war, I was supposed to be in Russia in a month. And so I canceled my ticket this weekend. I was just like, why am I doing this? Why did I come here again to do this? And it's the whole thing of, John, take a chill pill, dude.
Yeah.
This is I've been writing a book for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then I was like, okay. And when I'm tired, honor being tired. When I want to go fishing, I went into the shed and I looked at, I probably have like $1,000 of fishing equipment. And I haven't used that shit for like 10 years. Because I allowed doing something else. And I love the whole idea of being in nature and fishing where it's quiet and being one with the fish and talking to the fish and having gratitude when they bite and stuff, and like my little weird shit I do when I fish. And I was like, I need to do that again, because it's actually also, when things get like to the point of where you want to quit, is the earth requiring you to come back to her.
Yep. It's so true. Yep.
And so
there are times, like, everything is so weird and different for me, and in my daily life, I don't have the schedule I used to have. And sometimes in the middle of the week, I'm like, I am in my head and going crazy. Okay.
yeah.
So first of all, I'm recognizing it. that's points. That means you're, at least you're aware of it. And so I'm like, okay, what choice can I make? What choice can I make? What can I be and do to change this? And I get this idea, go shopping. I'm like, really? Go shopping? I'm supposed to be creating my business, but I'm like, go shop. Okay. So I go shopping to this specific area. And while I'm there, I'm getting inspired by the things that I see, and I'm talking to people. And then I get a phone call of somebody who wants to make an appointment to buy some jewelry. So it's like, okay, going shopping can actually make you money.
Right.
Because if you're in your head, you're being this other energy that's not an invitation. So whether it's going fishing, going shopping, I also go to the beach, go to the redwoods, like do something active.
Yeah.
Change the energy.
And also doing something. I'm gonna get back to this piece of it. And I was like, I'm in the midst of teaching this money class, and we somehow, like, when I do a class, like the title says this, but we go all over the place. And I'm like, okay, well, universe, I'm gonna follow what you say. We got to a point of parenting and earth and money and what was the connection. I'm the type of person that every time I go fishing with a group of people, I didn't realize until I got to Access that I have a connection to nature. Like, I catch the first fish, I catch the largest fish. I and I could be sitting right next to somebody, pull a fish out, and people are like sitting there, what do you do? How do you do that? And it's because I share this right now, this 10 seconds, because it's a reminder of the magic that I can be with earth and nature. And when you said, will this make me money? It might make me money, but also will establish more of my magic with the earth. And now that you say go fishing, because when I hit Dana, they say, dude, go fishing, man. Yes, I want to quit sometimes, but go fishing, because if that's the person that comes to you, what's in that fishing trip?
Right.
That you haven't realized that. And so I think but I have, like, every weekend is full. Right now, we don't have the beautiful weather that California, we're your northern partners. And so it's cold out there. I don't like fishing in 30-degree weather, but I am probably going to do that
Come
soon.
here.
Yes. But yeah, it's
middle of the week.
Yeah.
Fly down Southwest, cheap flights.
Yeah.
Sunny here.
Yeah. That's
I'll take you.
That sounds.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
So much fun. Oh
yeah.
Those trees are like, they're magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess that's the piece, like, what I'm really, and there's another piece about it. I had a real deep conversation with Tori and her kidney possibilities and some of the requirements that our government want from her of getting a kidney and mandates and all that. And I sometimes, when I first started going out with Tori, I told her I wasn't from this planet. Mm-hmm. And I remember we were at Starbucks and we were in Beaverton, and we were sitting there, and there was these birds in front of us, and they were like all in front of us. She said, it's weird, I've never had birds in front of us. So I started feeding the birds all of a sudden. And there was this larger bird, I'll never forget this, that took some of the breadcrumbs I was dropping and gave it to a smaller bird. It actually picked it up and threw it over to the side to this other bird. And I just started crying, and she was like, "Why? What's going on?" And I was like, I'm more like these birds and these people in this cafe, and I know that I'm not fucking from y'all planet. I really fucking know that. I know people watching like, oh, this dude's weird, but I'm not, dude.
Well, I mean, we probably all feel that way.
Yeah, I'm not from this place.
So don't fit in here.
And so don't give up even on that, because what did you come to do? And that's when I'm ready to give up. I'm like, fuck world, fuck the universe. I'm gonna take my ball and I'm gonna walk and play by myself over here. The universe smiles and goes, you're being funny right now. And I say that because what if when you want to give up, you're in expansion mode too? You have one or two things, and it's always because of the choice. You can go back, and it's okay to this. The other thing, that's the thing. If you retreat and you find yourself shrinking, do not judge that shit. Sometimes you need to shrink before you actually expand, like a cat. If you ever watch a cat, they go down and they go.
Yeah.
So my point of it is that I really, this weekend, I was feeling out of sorts. And I've been feeling like that since the war, since what I've observed with some of the people of color that's trying to get into Poland. And I was like, I see this separation and limitations that people, even in the midst of war, even when people trying to escape, they still go back to this fucked up reality of separation because of race. And it's just like, I don't want to be here anymore with y'all. I really don't fucking want to be here anymore with this, because it's just like in the midst of that, you're still doing the same fucking shit. Why do you think you're getting bombed? Because it's a possibility of choosing something different, and you still do fucked up shit. Excuse my language on here, but I'm just like, this whole week I was like, I'm ready to go back to where I'm from.
Well, okay. So.
But I'm not ready to leave. I'm not. But it was just
everybody else. Let's
yes.
just try and create that.
Yes.
Wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, on
yes.
The thing that comes first to mind when I hear those things, and I'm feeling that myself, is something that Gary has said over and over again. How far outside of your body would you have to expand for this to not be an issue for you? And so if we can be more, if we can be the being that we are from outside beyond this reality and like infuse that energy into this reality, how much would that change the war and all the shit that's going on and all the separation, instead of taking off and leaving?
Right.
Being more.
Yeah.
Even not knowing what that would be like.
Yeah. And not getting that, and I say this, I'm sharing with people who's in my head sometimes. I'm not leaving. It's just like there's such a frustration of there was such, because when I did something with a group of my Russian brothers and sisters yesterday, and I keep on hearing in my head Dr. King say, I've been to the mountaintop. And that speech, when you listen to him, he's talking about oneness. Mm-hmm. And the possibility. And he said, he said, I might not get there with you, but I've seen the promised land. Mm-hmm. And the promised land is when then he goes into the describing of people being in oneness. And whenever you've been a futurist and you saw it and you see people taking steps away from it, that's when I get sad.
Yeah.
That's when I get sad, because it was like, how many more people have to come here for the stupids? And maybe the stupids aren't invited to this. Maybe that's my other problem. Maybe I'm focusing on too many stupids.
It could be that. And it can also be, it's like, that's a possibility, but there's also the possibility of oneness. And what are we going to put our energy into? Solidifying.
Yeah.
And so when it gets heavy, it's like we're putting our energy into the other choice.
Yes. 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 That. And it's crazy. But it's just like, it's just the other piece about it is, and it's funny that you talk about that recording, because in this office is where my magic happens with all the young kids when I do the Being You book and all. And this weekend, another young lady who was like one of the first people that came to me, and I used access conscious tools. She came to me, she said, this energy thing, John, I don't know if you should do this with kids anymore, because I'm really kind of fucked up. And so I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I don't want to create any harm. And I say this out loud to people. What is the projection? I realized that after hanging up with this girl, the projection she was putting about things that she didn't want to look at of her capacities. And so how many times do you want to give up because you also, for me, it was like, make sure I'm doing rightness instead of like, that's your choice. What question have you asked? And I'm speaking out loud because all those things that come up that create a space of wanting to give up, what if you flipped it over and made it a contribution and asked questions of it? And that's 99.9% of the time that what I do. But it's that 1 point something percent that I go back and be like, oh my God, and I act like that little kid then I need to get away. And you do need to get away, but you don't need to go away permanently.
Yeah. And, there's also there's so many facets to this. It's like a multifaceted
Yeah.
gemstone. Um, there's also the fact that you're aware, and that every day we're more aware than we were before. And so how much of that wanting to quit isn't actually yours, but you're aware of it with so many other people who are quitting.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
So it's like, oh, right. Because it doesn't feel like you
Yeah.
when you're in that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can know it and you're like, wow, this doesn't feel like me. I'm so in my head. This is so heavy. And, who can I talk to? What can I do? What can I be to change this? And sometimes it's watch Netflix.
So it's funny, you just pulled that out of my head. God damn. Okay. Damn, Julie, you're good. So I did that. And I'm in the process of, Tori and I was watching on Netflix Kanye West's trilogy. And in the States, Kanye West is this rapper, but also clothes designer. And I think he's a billionaire now, not that close. And he's weird as fuck. And he gets attacked all the time for things he says, but he's flamboyant. He does crazy ass things in this reality. But in the documentary that he never gave up, even though the door kept on getting slammed every time. And it was kind of ironic that I was watching that this weekend, because it was a reminder. How can you tap into the energy of Kanye? And this is for people that look, if you need something to tap into, because what I realized, and what I mean tap into, not make something source pop, but how can that be a contribution of seeing somebody being willing to be so different? You don't have to buy into all the politics and everything else, but the energy that they're giving you about never giving up, never quitting. Mm-hmm. He did what he in the universe, he kept on saying the entire time it was kind of interesting documentary, real quick. This guy who was a friend started recording from the day he met him to the point where we are with Kanye right now. And when you watch the documentary, you'd be like, oh my God, this guy kept going, even though the door kept on closing, like a billion times. Yep. But it reminded me of what Gary Douglas said: never give up, never quit, never give in. And this dude did that. And it was like, and so I'm watching this, I was like, the universe is reminding me, John, hey, if Kanye doing that with music, what are you able to do with consciousness? You never quit, never. And when you do it, okay, just get back up.
And you have no idea what an inspiration you are to other people, even when you don't feel like it.
True. Everybody, yeah.
I have this quote from Marianne Williamson.
Yeah.
That I did on some artwork in my kitchen. I look at it every single day. And it's about, being the lightness and not the darkness. And that's what our greatest fear is, the light, not the dark. Mm-hmm. And when you choose your lightness, you give other people permission to do the same without even knowing it. Mm-hmm. You're just walking around being you, being a lighthouse. And then it like sparks that in somebody else.
Yeah. Amazing. That's so true. That is so true.
So who are you not to?
True, yeah. And especially, and I think the other thing you said earlier too, is this is a reminder that you just told me about this. Going to others, and I want people to get this, and I don't want people, because I said this in the class, and I don't want people being very careful making somebody the source and not remembering that you're source. But sometimes it's great to have those around you that will remind you of who you are. Yeah. They're not source, they're just a reminder, like you said, being that light. I guess the same thing with you being that lighthouse, and remembering to reach out when that time happens and things feel like it's doing, like, because I'm a sci-fi geek. And I'll say this to a lot of people like, oh, you're just saying this because of access. One of the things that he's right now in this 10 seconds, the greatest thing that I appreciate from access consciousness is it reminds me of the poster of the Avengers when they were going to fight, where they're on Wakanda and you have all the Avengers and they're actually going towards the Thanos and his crew. And they're actually moving. You see the engineer and like they're animated, and it's an energy of when you're being, you're a true Avenger. When you're being, when you're shrinking ass question, you're not really being, because it's something in the power of being, which, you wouldn't even feel like this if you're being. A real talk. I mean, it's just like, man, that's one of the other questions that I wake up with this week. Well, who the fuck are you being right now? Because once you actually get to that space, you actually start to, like you said, that expansive, but it's always good to have other Avengers around you as a reminder. And sometimes they throw punch you, sometimes they make fun of you because they're like, you're funny, you're cute and funny, but that's not who you're, and they ask you that question. So
one of my favorite questions is, what am I the source of?
Oh, wow.
What am I the source of?
Wow.
What are you the source of? And it, like, seeing somebody else and recognizing that they're the source of that, and then asking, so what am I the source of? Like, it's not oh, that's the source, but bring it back to you. What can you be? What have you come here to be? What are you the source of?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna start using that. Oh my gosh.
And I'm in the middle of foundation class this weekend. Today's the last day. And we were looking at, in the beginning, the first day, it was perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. This is the infinite being that we are.
Yeah.
And infinite possibilities. And it's like, most of us don't even have a concept of like the tiniest little crumb of what that is.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about being, we're talking about infinite being. This space is connected to oneness and everything.
Yeah.
So how do we disengage with thoughts, feelings, and emotions and start to engage and use the capacities of the infinite perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving that we actually be?
Yeah.
And expanding that.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's been an amazing weekend.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it really has. I mean, I'm tapping into that right now. I'm like, wow, I'm having some of that right now. So I say that because that video that you did actually now is like, by you inviting me this, it's like, oh, okay, that was the contribution of that for me. And hopefully it was a contribution for other people. It's like, I'm gonna definitely share this as an antidote or add-on to the video, because I want people to see, yeah, this is what this contributes. And it's all the way you perceive things. Is that, I hate to say this old cliche, is it half full or half empty, the glass? It's always, not always, but what's your choice? What do you see?
Exactly. I'm so glad.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you for
glad
this.
you were available. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll put this on the YouTube channel and let's share it, and
yes,
what else is possible. And
for
what
sure.
are you all the source of?
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Mwah.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.